Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're making this simple cowl neck dress. It's a ruched dress and it's very simple to make. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below and subscribe to my channel. So without wasting much time, let's jump right into the tutorial. So I achieved this style using 2 yards of crepe fabric, but you can decide to use any other draping fabric like chiffon for it. So we'll be cutting out the upper part of our front panel first. I have this fabric cut out already. The length of this fabric is my half length measurement plus about 15 inches. So out of the 15 inches extra, I'm going to be taking in 10 inches this way, as you can see. So this 10 inches I just took in now is going to serve as the facing for the front panel for the neckline, since it's not going to be having any lining. So after that, go ahead now to fold up the fabric this way. So after folding up the fabric, the length you should have now is your half length measurement plus about 5 inches extra. Note that your half length measurement is your shoulder to your waist measurement. The next thing to do now is to mark our round body measurement. So I'll go over to the upper part of the fabric and place my shoulder to shoulder measurement divided by 2, which is 8 inches. Then I'll add 3 extra inches to it for the cowl effect. That is 11 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark 11 inches at the top of my fabric. Then from the 11 inches I marked, I'll come down by 3.5 inches. So I'll connect the 2 points together. So from the 3.5 inches point I marked, I'm going to come down by my round armhole measurements divided by 2. So just make a demarcation at the 3.5 inches point. So my round armhole measurement divided by 2 is 9 inches. But because it's a sleeveless dress, I'm going to subtract 1 inch from it, making 8 inches. So go ahead and mark 8 inches there and draw a straight line. So I'm going to be connecting the 3.5 point now to meet the 8 inches line. After connecting the 2 points together, the next thing to do now is to come to the midpoint of the 8 inches line. Look for the midpoint of this line, which is 4 inches. Then I'll come in by 1.5 inches. Then go ahead to form a curve down this way. So this point is going to serve as our armhole curve. So the next thing to do now is to place our bust point and our waist point. So remember this 3.5 inches we mark now is going to serve as our shoulder line. So from my shoulder to my bust point is 10 inches. And from my shoulder to my waist is 16 inches. Then I'll mark 1 extra inch for joining. I'll go ahead to draw out lines. After drawing out the lines, the next thing to do is to place our round body measurement. So on my bust line, my bust measurement is 42 inches divided by 4 plus 1 inch for ease and 1 inch for seam allowance, which is 12.5 inches. So mark the same 12.5 inches on my chest line. Then on my waistline, my waist measurement divided by 4 is 9.5 inches. Then I'll add 1 inch for ease and 1 inch for seam allowance, which is 11.5 inches. So I'll go ahead and connect all the points together now. After connecting the points together, before we cut it out, I'll just go over now to the top of my fabric and come in by half an inch, as you can see in the video. And I'm going to connect it to meet the 3.5 inches mark. This is just to form a shoulder slant on our shoulder. So when I'm cutting out, I'm going to cut that place in the form of a slant. Cutting out, this is what we have. So I'll go ahead now to open up the fabric. So you can see the cowl effect on the neckline. So the 3.5 inches we marked is going to be the part that will be sitting down on our shoulder when we join the front and the back panel together. So I'm just going to go ahead now and use my pin to hold down the facing to the main fabric. I'll just use my pins to secure it to the main fabric now. So when we attach it to our back panel, the cowl effect is going to come out well, and this 3.5 inches point is going to sit on our shoulder. So the next thing to do now is to cut out the back panel. For the back panel, I have this fabric cut out already. It's in a fold of 2. So I took out 1 inch and the closed angle for my zip allowance. It's a free dress though, but I still wanted to have zip allowance. So I marked my shoulder to my bust point, which is 10 inches, and my shoulder to my waist point, which is 16 inches. And I went ahead to roll out lines on it. So the first thing to do is to come over to the top of the fabric and mark your shoulder measurement divided by 2, which is 8 inches. From the 8 inches marked, I'll come down by my round armhole measurement divided by 2 minus 1 inches, which is 8 inches. So I'll connect the 2 points together. And then I'll extend the line. So on the 8 inches line, I'll come down by ½ inch for my shoulder slope. And I'll take the midpoint of the line, which is 4 inches, then form my armhole curve. So remember, on the front panel, the part of the fabric that's sitting on our shoulder is 3.5 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark 3.5 inches and connect it to the ½ inch shoulder slope. So that part is going to be the part sitting down on our shoulder. So for the depth of my neckline, I'll be using 2 inches. Then I'll connect it to that point, forming a curve. So my bust measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches is 12.5 inches. I'll go ahead and mark it on the bust line. That is the exact measurement I have on my fabric, 12.5 inches. So I'll come down to my waist line and mark my waist measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches, which is 11.5 inches. So I'll connect it to meet the bust line. So after this now, the next thing is to cut out the back panel. So after cutting out the back panel, this is what we have. So I'm just going to go ahead now to open up the zipper allowance. I'm just going to split it open this way. So now we have 2 pieces of our back panel cut out this way. So the next thing to do now is to move over to the lower part of our dress. So the lower part of the dress, I have the front and the back panel cut out already. So I place the front panel on the back panel. The back panel is 1 inch wider than the front panel because of our zip allowance. So the back panel is 1 inch bigger than the front panel. So I folded the fabric using my hip measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches extra. Then for the length of the lower part, I have 36 inches here cut out already. This is because the lower part of the dress is going to be ruched. So the next thing to do is to place our measurement from the front panel. So I'm going to come and place my waist measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches, which is 11.5 inches. So from that point, I'll come down by 9 inches, which is my hip point. And then I'll roll a straight line. So my round hip measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches is 13.5 inches. The 2 inches, 1 inch is for seam allowance and the other inch is for ease. So So I'll go ahead and connect the points together. So going over to the lower part of our fabric, I'm just going to place my round hip measurement divided by 4, which is 11.5 inches. Remember, we're taking all these measurements on the front panel. So I'll go ahead to connect all the 2 points together. So this is basically all we need for the lower part of this dress. So I'll go ahead now to cut it out. I'll just go ahead now to open up the back panel. This is because of the zip that I'll be adding at the back. So after opening up, we have 2 pieces of the fabric here. So the next thing I want to do now is to join the pieces of fabric together. To join our pieces together, I'll be starting with the front panel. So this is the upper part and this is the lower part. So I'm just going to go ahead and place the right sides facing each other, as you can see this way. Then I'll match the waist line together. Match it this way. Then using my 1-inch sewing allowance, I'm going to take it to my sewing machine now and join them together. After joining the front panel, I'm going to move over to the back panel. So remember, we have 2 pieces of the back panel. So I'm going to just place the right sides facing each other this way and match the waist point together. Then using my 1-inch seam allowance, I'm going to join the 2 pieces together. So I repeat the same thing for the other one and show you. After joining the pieces together, this is what we have. This is the back panel, the 2 pieces of the back panel. I also went ahead to finish up the base of the fabric. I folded in 1/2 inch twice, and I did the same thing also for the front panel. So after that, the next thing we want to do is to finish up the armhole for both the front panel and the back panel, and also finish up the neckline for the back panel. So to finish up the armhole and the back neckline, I have this piece of fabric cut out already. So I'll just go ahead and take my pins and attach it. Place the right sides facing each other and attach it to your fabric this way. So after attaching to the fabric, I'll take it to my sewing machine now and use 1/2 inch to join the 2 pieces together. Then when I'm done with that, I'll turn it over to the other side and then fold in the fabric in twice and sew it down. So I repeat the same thing for the armhole of the front panel and the back panel, and also use the same method to finish the neckline of the back panel. After finishing up the armhole, this is what we have. This is what it looks like. So I've also done the same thing for the back panel. Finished up the armhole and the neckline. So I also went ahead to close up the zipper opening for the back panel using the 1-inch zip allowance we left. So I closed it up this way. And this part that is open is the part where we'll be attaching our zip. So I joined it all the way down to the full length of the dress. The next thing to do now is to attach our zip. So this is the zip I'll be using. So I'll just fold in my 1-inch this way. And then I'll place my zip on the fabric, as you can see in the video. Place it this way. I'll take it to my sewing machine and sew it all the way down on the fabric. Sew it this way to the fabric. Then when I'm done with that, I'll attach it to the other side of the dress. So when I'm done with attaching the zip, I'll show you guys what it looks like. After I attach the zipper, this is what it looks like. You can see how neat it looks. So the next thing I want to do now is to join the front piece and the back piece together. So go ahead and place the right sides facing each other. right side of the front piece and the back piece. So I'll go ahead now and match the shoulder points together, as you can see. So if there's any excess on the shoulder, you can just form a pleat with it when joining. So after joining the shoulders together, I'll just take it to my sewing machine and stitch it down and join the piece together using about 1/2 inch sewing allowance. So when I'm done with that, I'll match the armhole together. I'll match the two sides together like this. Then using my 1 inch seam allowance, I'll join it on that side. I'll go back to the other side and match it together, and then I'll join it on the other side. So when I'm done with that, I'll show you guys the next thing to do. So after joining the front and the back panel together, this is what we have. Our dress is almost complete. So the next one we want to do now is to form the ruched effect on the lower part of our dress. So go ahead and turn your dress to the other side. So I've gone ahead now from the 1 inch sewing allowance we had inside the dress. I went ahead to close it up on the lower part of the dress. I closed up the allowance there. So I have this fabric cut out already for the straps. So I'm just going to go ahead and take my pin, fold the fabric into two this way. So I cut out this fabric with the length of the lower part of my dress. So fold it into two, and then I'll use my safety pin and pass it through the fabric this way. Then from the part I closed, I'll just go ahead and pass it in. Pass the fabric straps into the dress this way till I get to the waistline, and I'll bring it out. So I'll take it to my sewing machine now and sew it down this way. So I'll put the same thing for the other side and show you guys the finished product of. So guys, this is the finished product of our cowl neck ruched dress. So you can see how beautiful it is and how simple it is to make. Please give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.